Hello, everybody. My name is Bianca, and we just watched the opening statements from the Chad Daybell trial. We are going to go over the first week of the trial, all of the testimony, all of the witnesses, and make some commentary. One of the things that I like to focus on is in the psychology, and in this case, the possibility of psychopathy in the minds of the people who are accused of these crimes. So, Chad Daybell is facing 3 counts of murder, one for his ex wife Tammy, who has died, and two for the children of Lori Daybell, JJ, who was a little boy with autism, and Kylie, who was a girl, a teenager. And Chad, right after his wife passed away, 17 days later, he married Lori, and Lori and Chad had plans of moving to Hawaii together, where they actually used the words, "We are a clean couple with no kids." Eventually, the kids were found in Chad's backyard, the remains of the kids. They were unfortunately torn apart. They were cut up into pieces, put into plastic bags, and all of this was done. The allegation is that Chad and Lori had a certain belief, a religious belief. They initially were part of the Church of the Latter day Saints of Jesus Christ. I think that's how you say it, LDS Church. And they started to believe that they had a higher calling and to talk a lot about the light and the dark, and that some people were so dark that they turned into zombies and the body needed to be killed. So that could be an indication of the reason for the motive for some of these crimes. We don't have all the facts yet. As of right now, he is facing the trial, so he's presumed to be innocent, and he has the right to stand for trial. I will tell you, just based on the opening statements and what I just said, right? The facts are they did find the bodies of the children. The facts are they did get married right after his wife died. The fact is that Lori's husband also died, and she was expecting $1 million from his life insurance. So there are a lot of facts in the case that indicate that these two people are culpable of these murders. However, we're here to watch, and we're going to watch in 1.5 speed, starting with the first witness being called. This is the prosecution case. The prosecution goes first. So let's get it started.
Your Honor, the state is prepared. We had spoken to Brooker that we're going to have a first sidebar.
Oh, let's discuss our schedule.
Improve the sound is really bad right now. Okay, sidebar. Let's just fast forward that. Here we go.
All right. Sir, as you testify, just remember to make a audible response to anything that being questioned, so that the record stays clear, and try to avoid speaking over the top of anyone questioning you. That in mind, then, what would you like to inquire today?
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, will you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Ray Hermosillo, Hermosillo. Is that on?
Your Honor, is that microphone on?
I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and start over and just talk right into the mic, please.
Detective, will you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Ray Hermosillo, Hermosillo.
Thank you. Detective Hermosillo, what is your occupation?
I'm currently a lieutenant in the detective division for the Rushmore Police Department.
How long have you been a detective?
5 years.
And how long were you involved in law enforcement before you became a detective?
Before I was a detective, 18 years.
I'm gonna fast
Have you worked
forward
for
on
any other law
this
enforcement
the beginning
agency
because this is just
when you talk about seeing Mr.
qualification
Daybell?
and his
Was that between those dates of November 1st
experience.
2019?
That's correct.
And your primary job was to look for a Jeep. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's right.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that the witness be handed what's been marked. The state's exhibit 90. The court has a courtesy copy in counsel as well.
Mr. Wood, to be clear, it sounded like you said 90, this is 9A.
I believe it's 90. Double check.
I just see the exhibit, so I can confirm whether it's okay.
You're correct, on 9A. And that means it's 98 through 90.
This is Detective Ray Hermosillo, the first
Detective, do you
witness
recognize State's Exhibits 98
for
through
the
90?
state.
Yes, I do.
What do they purport to be?
That is the Jeep that I had seized, parked in the parking lot just outside of 565 Pioneer.
And were these pictures taken at the location of 565 Pioneer?
No, these photographs are taken at our in-town lot at the police department.
Did you take these pictures?
I did not.
But do you recognize these images as true and accurate representations of the Jeep you seized from 565 Pioneer Drive?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask the State's Exhibits 9A through D be entered into evidence.
The objection from the defense.
Judge, I'd like to move on to your immediate action on the foundation.
Foundation.
You can order or ask foundational questions, Mr. Pratt.
Officer Hermosillo, you, thank you.
Foundation. What was the
Surveillance on
date?
Jeep.
Where was it
That's right.
taken? How did you obtain these
Did you have an occasion to
pictures?
get close to the Jeep during that surveillance?
We hadn't located the Jeep during that surveillance. I located the Jeep on November 4th, 2019, and that's when I had it inbound.
Okay, and at the time of being impounded, did you have the occasion to go through the Jeep and observe the Jeep energy? Or were you relying just on the photographs taken in the Jeep? Do you understand my question?
No, sir. You
I'll
repeat it.
rephrase that. Did you have a personal occasion to go through the inside of that Jeep and observe the contents within the Jeep?
Your Honor, I think that goes beyond the scope of this specific exhibit.
I guess the issue, Mr. Wood, is he indicated he did not take these photographs, and some of the exhibits also contain photographs of the interior of the Jeep, so it's proper, more dire negative objection.
May I continue, Judge?
Yes.
Officer, all I'm trying to establish is I don't want you to be able to testify that, someone else took the pictures and this is what they found. I want you to be able, you're authenticating and you're under oath to swear that these are accurate photos. I'm trying to find out if that knowledge is based on your personal experience, or is it simply based on the fact that you're relying on somebody else who told you this is what we found? So that's what I'd like you to clarify for me, if you would, sir.
Sure. I impounded the Jeep. I was standing next to the officer taking the photographs, and I also went through the Jeep personally.
Okay, I withdraw the objection, Mr. Judge. Thank you, officer.
All right, exhibits, 9A through D are admitted.
Thank you. May I talk to the jury?
You may want to have a quick sidebar with counsel.
Another sidebar. Let's fast forward. And look, this is let's just see some of the comments here. I will never understand what the hell Lori saw in that chunk. Oh, Chad. Then this coverage was negotiated many months ago. It is what it is. Okay, people are complaining about the sound and the way the cameras are positioned, but it is what it is. We are glad it's being recorded. I think portals are in the closet. Yeah, there is some talk of portals like to other worlds in this case. We're gonna get there. And we only know this information because Lori Daybell, his wife, was already tried and convicted. Frocky says Billy Jimbo, being an essential part to make a fair trial possible, is by no means immoral. It ensures that the defendant's rights are respected and the conviction won't be overturned over appeal. Yeah, nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants the conviction to be overturned. So we want to make sure that everything is done correctly, that if there is a need for foundation, that we're going to ask the foundational questions to make sure the evidence is acceptable. Teresa says Nate Eaton was all over the story. So if you guys want to follow him, I'm sure you can find him on Twitter and other social medias. Wiper Hunter says, other than Scientology, Mormonism is probably the strangest religion out there. It's a code. Okay, I'm not going to make any comments on that because I have no information about it. Whoopsie Daisy says, at Darby Hollins, agreed there's a reason LFS keeps ordering child abusing wackos and homicidal psychopaths. That's what we're here for, to determine if the traits of psychopathy apply to Chad, right? So we talked about in the previous video during opening statements that some of the traits that we can already see in Chad are deception. The opening statement from the prosecution talked about deception. The second one, the need for power and control. The prosecution also talked about that. This case is about power, sex, and money. That's what Chad was after.
All right.
And
Would you like to
third
proceed with publishing?
traits real quick, I paused it so we can finish this thought. The third trait that we noted on the opening statements was the disregard for the rules, because the prosecution is saying no matter what it costs, no matter how low it was, Chad was willing to either manipulate someone, deceive someone, or do it himself. So let's see what the judge is saying now.
Court's instructions there on the sidebar, and you may publish any or all of the photos.
Publish
Your Honor,
it.
if I could have access to the elements.
What is the delay now? Publish
I'll ask the
it.
question, Your Honor.
Go ahead, please.
So you did have further contact with law enforcement from Arizona, correct? And which law enforcement agency was that?
Gilbert Police
Cosmic
Department.
says, Chad sitting there like I'm surrounded by zombies who
Yes, sir.
dare to not love me. The horror.
When you followed up with them about the Jeep, did they give you any other information about the case?
They did.
Did any of that information regard children?
Yes, it did.
What were you told by Gilbert Police?
Judge objection, hearsay.
Coming in for the effect on the listener.
What were you told? Yeah,
Judge
hearsay.
reapproach.
No, give me a moment to make a ruling on that. I'll instruct the witness can answer the question. but
I'm
for
not
all
drinking
purposes,
champagne. What are
most
you
cases,
drinking? I'll show you.
Any objections overruled?
Detective, based on your conversation with Gilbert
This
Police,
is the
did
Brazilian
you take
soda.
any action regarding
Very good.
any children involved in this case?
Yes, we did.
And for the purpose of what you did, what information were you given? That
Oh,
needed
you
to
heard
provide?
that?
We were informed through their investigation that JJ Bell's grandmother was concerned for his
Judge,
safety.
and again, I would object at this point to renew my objection. That's
Yeah,
gonna be on.
hearsay.
I'll also state that it's bringing up her statements.
Sustained.
Based on your conversation with Gilbert Police, what was the next step you took in your investigation?
We were requested to do a welfare check on JJ Bell from the Gilbert Police Department.
Detective, had you ever met JJ Bell?
No.
Were you provided any identifying information as to his age or where he might be located?
We were provided very little information, just a brief description of what he looked like, his age, and where he should be, which was 565 Pioneer Road, where he lived with his mother, Laura Bell.
565. 5
I'm
years.
going to ask for that.
I'm gonna
United States Exhibit 1.
speed a little bit, and if they start saying anything pertinent, I will stop because they're very,
Judge,
very
I stipulate
slow.
the admission states in point.
All right, it's being offered to.
Yes, Your Honor.
There are states exhibit 1 has been offered without objection. The court order states exhibit 1.
Your Honor, with that stipulation, I actually asked that the witness be handed States Exhibit 2 and States Exhibit 3 as well.
They're on 2 speed, guys. They just don't move. They
Further
just
stipulate to states exhibit 2,
don't
stipulate
move.
to states exhibit 3.
Very well. Then presuming being offered states exhibits 2 and 3 are also admitted. And this is what they're going to publish in the same sheet of courses.
That's all I'm doing. Thank you.
publish
Thank you.
it.
States Exhibit 1.
What is going on? What's happening?
it?
Nothing's
That
happening.
is a
Nothing's
birth
happening.
certificate out of the state of Louisiana.
Your Honor, this is the publish.
Let's go, Your Honor. Come on.
Can you identify who this is a birth certificate for?
The name on my birth certificate is Cant Trahan,
What is the birth date?
May 25th, 2012.
Where's the place of birth?
Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Your Honor, finally published States Exhibit 2.
Yeah.
Detective, I'm going to ask you to turn to the second page of States Exhibit 2. Detective, what is States Exhibit 2?
It's a decree of adoption.
Adoption.
And reading through that, are you aware of who that is a decree of adoption for?
Yes.
Who is it for?
Cant Trahan.
And on the bottom of that, can you read the second to the bottom paragraph? That here.
The entire.
Yes, please.
It is further ordered, the judge has agreed that the name of the child, Cant Trahan, be changed as follows: Joshua Jackson Battle and Registrar of the Louisiana Department of Public Health, and statistics is hereby ordered to make the appropriate changes in its records.
May I publish States Exhibit 3 now?
Yes.
So JJ was adopted.
Detective, what is States Exhibit 3?
That is also a birth certificate from the state of Louisiana.
And who is it birth certificate for?
Joshua Jackson Battle.
Second, in the course of your investigation, In the course of your investigation, have you learned what Joshua Jackson or JJ Dayell looked like?
Yes,
Have you seen pictures of him?
yes, I have.
Were you able to access pictures of him from iCloud accounts associated with his murder?
Yes.
Your Honor asked that the witness of the United States is at court.
This is so crazy, guys. This is so crazy. Here it says JJ Vallow's biological father forgives Lori for killing
That's
his
why you
son.
met JJ Dayell, correct? How did you know he looked like?
Through photographs we were given,
Where did you get those photographs?
received a few from Gilbert Police. His grandmother, Kayla Cup. I think that's all I can remember.
And I spoke with you briefly before. Did you ever have occasion to review iCloud accounts belonging to Lori Dayell?
Yes, we did.
And on those iCloud accounts, did you find other pictures of JJ Dayell?
Yes, we did.
And did you find videos of JJ Dayell?
Yes.
Based on your investigation, what does Exhibit 4 report to me?
Photograph of JJ Dayell.
And you didn't take this picture, correct?
Correct.
But you recognize that individual as Joshua or JJ Dayell?
Yes.
Your Honor, for demonstrative purposes, the state would move to admit State's Exhibit 4.
The objection. Judge, there's a little bit of foundation that I want to iron on. No, so what's the source of that picture? Where did-
Lori's iCloud, Lori for Style, iCloud.com.
Judge, can we approach just
How did
briefly?
you obtain? Like a little more foundation, please. Okay, some of the comments. Let's see what people are saying. Josephine is saying this sound is absolutely terrible. Much and always I want to watch. Don't know if I can stick this for hours or weeks. Guys, it gets better. Do, 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 do. Darby, it's not, but it is. It's just an extremist view. But the question is why? I mean, Ruby and Jody just fell off the LDS wagon too. Same kind of thing, you know. Yeah, I mean, this area apparently it's the predominant religion there. The judge, the jury might all belong to this church, and I don't really have much information about it. So I'm not gonna make many comments. All right, let's see. So let me just read this one. Darby say, I mean, it's the foundation of the religion that is causing the fall. But what is the foundation causing? You know, just my silly little questions I have. Then Janet said, Lori has put herself into a type of straitjacket so that any attempt at removal in order to testify would cause her psychosis, not going to happen. Oh, people are asking if Lori would testify. Catherine said, as long as Chad stays married to Lori, he can prevent her testifying due to spousal privilege. So they are still married, and that is a fact. You don't have to testify due to spousal privilege. Then Whoopsie Daisy says, Lori probably still thinks Chad will use his power to rescue her so they can run away together. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. But Chad, on the other hand, he kind of knows what's going on, I believe. I think he just deceived Lori. Then Janet says, to my recollection, Chad came up with a light dark list prior to meeting Lori, so it doesn't jive with blaming it all on Lori. Nobody's
Based on our
buying
sidebar
that.
counsel, I understand the defense does not have an objection at this point to Exhibit 4 being submitted. Is that correct, Mr. Frye?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Exhibit 4 then is submitted.
Your Honor, may I publish the jury?
You know,
What's the problem now, guys? What is?
Who is that?
Oh,
That's JJ
JJ.
Dayell.
Oh, so cute, so innocent.
Detective, you were talking about receiving a request to do a welfare check, correct?
That's correct.
When did you receive that request?
On November 25th, 2019, in late evening hours, I received a call from Detective Pillar with the Gilbert Police Department, and he requested that
Judge, I'm going to object to this.
The request is hearsay.
at this point, I don't hear an objection on hearsay, so you see.
I go with the judge on this one. I didn't hear no hearsay either.
On November 25th, 2019, I received a call from Detective Pillar.
Call.
Police Department. He requested that I do a welfare check on JJ Dayell the next morning because he wasn't able to get a hold of JJ or
Obviously, saying hearsay.
Sustained. Very
Did
good.
you do a welfare check for JJ Bell?
We did.
What date did you do that?
November 26th, 2019.
How did you go about doing that?
On that morning of November 26th, 2019, myself and Detective Daybell went to Lord Bellow's residence where we presumed JJ was at. She lived at 565 Pioneer, apartment 175. As we approached, expecting to speak with Lori, we noticed the defendant, Chad Daybell, and Alex Cox unloading a pickup truck near the garage
Okay.
area.
And at this point, were you aware of who Chad Daybell was?
Yes,
How would you learn about him?
through our investigation with Gilbert and communicating with Gilbert Police Department.
And so you recognized who he was.
Correct.
And at that time, were you aware of who Alex Cox was?
Yes, we were.
So after you saw them, what did you do next?
I got out of my vehicle and made contact with Alex. He was standing at the driver's side of his pickup truck, and the defendant Daybell was on the passenger side. I asked Alex if Lori Ballard was home, and he stated that she wasn't home. I asked Alex if JJ was home, that we were there to do a welfare check. And at that point, Alex got a surprised, frightened look on his face, looked over at across the pickup at the defendant Daybell. The defendant Daybell then looked back at Alex, and initially,
Wow.
answered my question.
After they didn't answer your question, what did you do?
I asked them again if JJ was home, and Alex Cox finally answered and stated that JJ was with his grandmother in Louisiana.
But his grandmother is the one that sent the
When you were in that
wellness
information.
check. So how is the boy with the grandmother? She's the one that said, "Hey, I'm worried about my grandson. Can you guys do a wellness check?" The cop goes to do a wellness check. Alex and Chad are like, "Uh-oh." And then he says, "No, he's with his grandmother."
Did it cause you any concern?
It did, because I informed Alex that it was highly unlikely because his grandmother.
Judge, I'm gonna object at this point, whatever you get to.
Why are you objecting?
You're not legally defense have to testify what he said to Alex Cox.
Okay, that's not what I understood where I was going. Can I ask the question, Stuart?
Second, what did you say to Alex Cox?
I informed Alex that it was unlikely because Kay.
Judge, I'm gonna object. This is going to lead it to hearsay.
Your Honor,
No.
this is a statement by a declarant.
It's saying.
It cannot be hearsay.
Overruled, and it is,
No, I'm sorry, overruled. I meant
What did you say to Alex Cox?
I informed Alex that it was unlikely that JJ was with his grandmother Kay
because
because she was the
she
one who told him
sent
welfare check.
the well, yeah.
And what was the response to that?
There was no response initially. Alex again looked over at the defendant Daybell. They kind of both just looked at each other. And at that point, I asked Alex where I could find Lori Bell.
And did he give you a location to find her?
He stated that she was in apartment 107, which is the same apartment complex, just a few apartments down.
These are the worst criminals, and sometimes people say that psychopaths are very smart. I mean, no, they are copycats, so they're able to observe society and their behavior and copy it so that they can fit in. You know, they may have charisma, but they're not as intelligent as we hear about. So don't ever be don't ever be what is the word, like afraid or thinking that they're better than you if you're in a position where you are with like a narcissist or something. Because look at this, the police is there asking them where is JJ, and Alex is just looking at Chad like, what do I do, master? And Chad's like, banana face as usual. And then again, he says, well, he's not with the grandmother because she's the one that sent me here. So Alex looks at Chad again instead of being like, oh, really? I was not aware. I'm not sure. They can't even lie, right? I mean, they can lie, but a lot of holes in this story, a lot of proof, a lot of these I would consider circumstantial evidence, but then, the case gets stronger and stronger as we go.
What did you do at that point?
At that point, I asked Alex if there was a way I could contact Lori and asked Alex for her cell phone number. And Alex told me that he didn't have her cell phone number.
Oh, he doesn't have his
Were you
sister's
aware
cell
at
phone number?
that point that Alex Cox and Lori Ballard were siblings?
Yes, through our investigation with Gilbert, we knew that Alex Cox and Lori Bell were extremely close. So when Alex told me he didn't have his sister's cell phone number, I assumed he was lying to me.
What did you do once you received that information?
Myself and Detective Hope left the defendant Daybell and Alex in the pickup truck. We went over to apartment 107 to see if we could make contact with Lori. At that point, we were just trying to find JJ Vallow.
Mhm.
And were you able to locate him at apartment 107?
No, we knocked on apartment 107, there was no answer. So at that point, Detective Hope began knocking on neighbors' doors, see if we could get a hold of anybody who would know if they saw a little boy coming in or out of that apartment or who resided that apartment. And while Detective Hope was doing that, I started walking back to my vehicle to call for more detectives to promote our location.
Why did you call for more detectives?
Because of the deception from Alex, I wanted to figure out what exactly was going on. And we were going to start canvassing the area and knocking on doors, so the more detectives we had on scene, the better it was for us.
Detective, to clarify, when you first saw Alex and Chad Daybell, did you speak with Chad Daybell?
No, I personally didn't.
So I believe you testified that you started walking back to the original defendant. What happened then?
As I was approaching my car that was parked in the alleyway, I noticed the defendant Daybell driving towards me in a black to call for more detectives to promote our location.
Why did you call for more detectives?
Because of the deception from Alex, I wanted to figure out what
Yeah,
exactly.
because
was
now
going
it
on.
escalates. This guy just lied to me for
And
no
we were going to
reason.
start canvassing
There
the
must
area
be a
and knocking on doors,
reason.
so the more detectives we had on scene, the better it was for us.
Detective, to clarify, when you first saw Alex and Chad Daybell, did you speak with Chad Daybell?
No, I personally didn't.
I
So
feel like I
believe you
heard that
testified
already.
You started walking
Deja
back
vu.
to the original defendant. What happened then?
As I was approaching my car that was parked in the alleyway, I noticed the defendant Daybell driving towards me in a black Chevy Equinox. It appeared he had just left apartment 175 and was headed towards me in the alleyway. So at that point, I stopped him to have a conversation.
What did you ask him?
I asked the defendant Daybell, when's the last time you saw JJ Vallow? And he stated it was in October in apartment 107 with Lori Bell.
Did you ask him anything else?
I did. I asked him how he knew Lori, and he stated he had only met her a couple of times, and that he didn't know her very well.
A couple of times.
Did that response cause any concern for you?
It did.
Why?
Through our investigation, prior to me making any contact with the defendant Daybell or Alex Cox, we knew that Alex, Gresham, Chad, and Lori had been married 2 weeks prior.
Wow. What a dumb ass face.
So is it fair to say you were troubled by his gentleman? What happened after that?
I asked Mr. Daybell, excuse me, the defendant Daybell, if he had Lori Bellow's cell phone number so I could get hold of her. And he stated he didn't have her phone number.
Did you have any further conversation?
I did. When I was speaking with the defendant Daybell, Detective Hope saw me talking with him and started to walk back to my location. As he approached, I again asked the defendant Daybell for Lori's number because I assumed he was lying to me based on what I knew. And at that time, he did give me Lori's phone number.
Did he tell you why he didn't get to you in the first place?
He did. He stated that he felt I was accusing him of something.
Yeah, because you're sus.
So I simply asked him the whereabouts of JJ and asked him for his wife's cell phone number.
And he's like, I don't know her. I only met her a couple of times.
Because during this
who?
interaction, we were in a fight camp.
No, I wasn't.
Why not?
In the detective division, most of our interviews are in a controlled environment. We call people into the police department. We have an interview room set up with cameras. So most of the time we're conducting our business and our interviews at the police department. It's very rare we're the first officers or detectives on scene. There's one body cam between 7 detectives. Unlike patrol, where a patrolman is assigned a body cam, a detective is not assigned a body
What happened after you got that information from the defendant?
cam. I called my lieutenant at the time and told him what was going on. I felt that based on the deception and lies from the defendant Daybell, who is JJ's stepfather, the lies and the deception from JJ's uncle, who is Alex Cox, I felt there was more going on with the whereabouts of JJ. And so at that time, I wanted to get everybody over there to see if we could figure out what was going on. So I asked my lieutenant to gather some detectives and respond to my location.
And then what happened?
A few minutes later, my lieutenant arrived with Detective Dave Stubbs, who had a body cam at that point. We began knocking on doors. We went back to 175, which is Lori Bellow's apartment, and started knocking on her door and didn't get any answer.
And I apologize if I missed it. Who was your lieutenant?
Ron Ball.
All right, so after you weren't able to get any answers, what did you do next?
Through our investigation, we learned that Lori Bellow's niece, Melanie Boudreaux, it was Melanie Plowski, no, correction, Melanie Boudreaux at the time, it's now Melanie Plowski. She lived in apartment 174, which is right next door to Lori. So at that point, we knocked on her apartment as well to see if Lori or JJ was at that apartment.
Did anybody answer?
No, they didn't.
What did you do next?
I was instructed to go back to the police department or the prosecutor's office to see if we can obtain a search warrant to search the residence for JJ Vallow, while the other detectives stayed on scene and started knocking on doors in that complex. At that point, our only focus was to find JJ and to figure out what was going on. So we were going to exhaust every means that we could to see if we could do that. And that's why I went to the prosecutor's office to see if I could obtain a search warrant.
And did you obtain a warrant that day?
No.
Why not?
On the way to the prosecutor's office, Detective Hope, with the number that the defendant Daybell provided, called that number. There was no answer, but he left a message. Once we got to the prosecutor's office, Lori Vallow called back, and she was instructed to open the door. There were detectives outside of her door that wanted to speak with her.
And are you aware of any other detectives were able to make contact with her that day?
Yes, they did.
Do you know who that was?
Detective Stubbs and Detective Ball.
And you had mentioned earlier that Detective Stubbs had a body cam on, correct?
Correct.
And do you know if their interaction with Lori Vallow was recorded?
Yes, it was.
Have you watched that video?
Yes, I have.
At that point in your investigation, what did you do?
After
Detectives Ball and Stubbs had spoken with Lori Vallow, what did you do? What did you do next?
we were informed that JJ was with a family friend.
Judge, I'm going to object to this. Not about foundation.
I will sustain that.
Executive, did you speak with Detectives Ball and Stubbs about their interaction with Lori that day?
Yes,
Did you speak with them that day?
yes,
Did you watch the body cam of their interaction with Lori Vallow that day?
yes, I did.
So you're aware of what she said to them.
Correct.
Based on what she said to them, what did you do next in your investigation?
We attempted to locate the family friend to see if JJ was with her in Gilbert, Arizona.
And do you know who that family friend was?
Melanie Gibb,
Were you able to contact her?
I was not.
Did you have any interaction with Arizona law enforcement day about contacting Melanie Gibb?
I did. It was starting to get into the later hours of that evening. So I contacted Detective Pillar with Gilbert Police Department. And I had him go to Melanie Gibb's residence to see if JJ was there. Ultimately, we learned he was not there.
About what time did you learn that JJ was not with Melanie Gibb?
Roughly 9 o'clock at night.
And what did you do when you found out that he was not there?
I contacted Lieutenant Ball and let him know, and we agreed to meet at the prosecutor's office that next morning early to obtain search warrants for those apartments.
Okay, and just for clarity of the record, which apartments are you talking about?
Apartment 175, which belonged to Lori Vallow, 174, which belonged to Melanie Boudreaux, and apartment 107, because that's the last time JJ was seen based on the defendant Daybell's statements.
Detective, were you able to obtain those warrants?
Yes, we were.
So sorry, guys. There was some trouble here on the screen settings, and I lost you guys, but I'm glad we're back. Let's go back to the testimony of the first witness of the case. Let's see if we can find where we were exactly. Oh, I actually have to log in here real quick. Let's see. I love how my computer is like, are you sure it's you? Are you sure it's you? Like 1,000 times. Yes, it's me. Let's go. Let's go. Hopefully this audio is better. This is the beginning. Hold on, let me share this screen with you guys.
On the evidence you have a
You're not
reasonable doubt
super
about the
bored.
defendant's guilt, you must find the defendant not guilty.
Let me make
The
myself
duty of the
small.
jury is to determine the
No, no,
facts.
no, no, no. We
and
were like
apply the
way
law set forth in
ahead.
The instructions.
Soon shattered their bliss. Two things led law enforcement to his
Oh, that's the opening statements. Okay.
iCloud accounts associated with his murder.
Yes.
Your Honor asks that the witness be handed State's Exhibit 4,
Originally,
Oh no, we got commentary.
apartments 174.
Use at the police department. It's very rare we're the first officers or detectives on scene. There is one body cam between 7 detectives. Unlike patrol, where a patrolman is assigned a body cam, a detective is not assigned.
What happened after you got that information from the defendant?
I called my lieutenant at the time and told him what was going on. I felt that based on the deception and lies from the defendant Daybell, who is JJ's stepfather, the lies and the deception from JJ's uncle, who is Alex Cox. I felt there was more going on with the whereabouts of JJ. And so at that time, I wanted to get everybody over there to see if we could figure out what was going on. So I asked my lieutenant to gather some detectives and respond to my location.
And then what happened?
A few minutes later, my lieutenant
A few minutes
arrived
later.
with Detective Dave Stubbs, who had a body cam at that point. We began knocking on doors. We went back to 175, which is Lori Dowell's apartment, and started knocking on her door and didn't get any answer.
And I apologize if I missed it. Who was your lieutenant?
Ron Wall.
All right, so after you weren't able to get any answers, what did you do next?
Through our investigation, we learned that Lori Ballow's niece, Melanie Boudreau, it was Melanie Plowski, Melanie Boudreau at the time, it's now Melanie Plowski. She lived in apartment 174, which is right next door to Lori. So at that point, we knocked on her
Melanie.
apartment as well to see if Lori or JJ was at that apartment.
Did anybody answer?
No, they didn't.
What did you do next?
I was instructed to go back to the police department or the prosecutor's office to see if we can obtain a search warrant to search the residence for JJ Vallow, while the other detectives stayed on scene and started knocking on doors in that complex. At that point, our only focus was to find JJ and to figure out what was going on. So we were going to exhaust every means that we could to see if we could do that. And that's why I went to the prosecutor's office to see if I could obtain a search warrant.
And did you obtain a warrant that day?
No.
Why not?
On the way to the prosecutor's office, Detective Hope, with the number that the defendant Daybell provided, called that number. There was no answer, but he left a message. Once we got to the prosecutor's office, Lori Vallow called back and she was instructed to open the door. There were detectives outside of her door that wanted to speak with her.
And are you aware of any detectives were able to make contact with her that day?
Yes, they did.
Do you know who that was?
Detective Stubbs and Detective Ball.
And you had mentioned earlier that Detective Stubbs had a body cam on, correct?
Correct.
And do you know if their interaction with Lori Vallow was recorded?
Yes, it was.
Have you watched that video?
Yes, I have.
At that point in your investigation, what did you do?
After
Detectives Ball and Stubbs had spoken with Lori Vallow, what did you do? What did you do next?
we were informed that JJ was with a family friend.
Judge, I'm going to object at this point. How about some foundation?
Just say, right? We were informed by whom?
Sustain that.
Detective, did you speak with Detectives Ball and Stubbs about their interaction with Lori that day?
Yes,
Did you speak with them that day?
yes,
Did you watch the body cam of their interaction with Lori Vallow that day?
yes, I did.
So you're aware of what she said to them.
Correct.
What did she say?
Based on what she said to them, what did you do next in your investigation?
We attempted to locate the family friend
Melanie
to see if
Gibb.
JJ was with her in Gilbert, Arizona.
Psycho! I
And
don't like that
do you know who
one.
that family friend was?
Melanie Gibb.
Ugh.
Were you able to contact Melanie Gibb?
I was not.
Did you have any interaction with Arizona law enforcement day about contacting Melanie Gibb?
I did. It was starting to get into the later hours of that evening. So I contacted Detective Pillar with Gilbert Police Department. And I had him go to Melanie Gibb's residence to see if JJ was there. Ultimately, we learned he was not there.
About what time did you learn that JJ was not with Melanie Gibb?
Roughly 9 o'clock at night.
And what did you do when you found out that he was not there?
I contacted Lieutenant Ball and let him know. And we agreed to meet at the prosecutor's office that next morning early to obtain search warrants for those apartments.
Okay, and just for clarity of the record, which apartments are you talking about?
Apartment 175, which belonged to Lori Vallow, 174, which belonged to Melanie Boudreaux, apartment 107, because that's the last time JJ was seen based on the defendant Daybell's statements.
Detective, were you able to obtain those warrants?
Yes, we were.
What did you do? Well, what day did you obtain those warrants?
November 27th, 2019, in the early morning hours.
And on that day, did you execute those warrants?
We did.
Let's talk about that. Where did you search first?
We searched apartment 175 first.
Was there a reason you searched there first?
That was his address that we were given from the Gilbert Police Department, and that's where his mother lived.
What did you find in apartment 175?
So initially, when we broke down the door, everything looked ordinary. There were couches, there were papers on the table, there was food in the refrigerator, food in the pantry. We went upstairs, there were beds, pictures. Everything seemed that people lived there. The thing that caught our attention was there were no clothes on the hanger in any of the closets. Zero clothes. Just a bunch of empty hangers hanging there like somebody took the clothes off and left.
Did you locate JJ in that apartment?
No.
Did you see any evidence whatsoever to suggest that he had been living there?
Yes, we did. There were a couple things. We located a child's Star Wars suitcase underneath a little crawl space under the stairs. It was mixed in with some, what I can best describe as 72-hour kits, and the kits had like flashlights, flares, water. The suitcase was mixed in with those. We also found an old prescription bottle prescribed to JJ of Resveratrol. And there were Displaying these photographs of JJ in the residence.
And did you see any other evidence of any minor children?
No. Correct. We did. When we first went inside, there were some scooters and a small child's, small child's bike right on the porch.
Okay. Did you seize anything from the home that day?
We did. I seized the Respirone and the suitcase.
After you searched apartment 175, what did you do next?
We searched 174, which was Melanie Windows' apartment. Everything appeared normal in there. There were no signs of JJ or anything that he was even there. But we also searched apartment 107, and that was completely vacant. There was nothing in apartment 107.
Did you seize anything from apartments 174 or 107?
We seized, in apartment 174, we seized some cash, large amounts of cash that were found in the closet. And the only reason we seized those were for safekeeping, because we had to take the door in there as well. It wasn't able to lock, so we took that.
Did you locate any weapons in any of those apartments?
So in apartment 175, when we were searching the garage area, we located several different style weapons, handguns, rifles, various calibers, army knives, a lot of different weapons that were inside the garage.
And why did you seize those?
Again, for safekeeping, that apartment didn't lock. And so we took those, so what we stolen.
Did you find any evidence that JJ Bell had been in apartment 174?
No.
Did you find any evidence that JJ Bell had been in apartment 107? No. Did you search any other building that day?
We did. In apartment 175, we located a storage unit rental agreement contract. And on that storage unit contract was the name Lori Ryan. It had listed her as the tenant, and it listed the storage unit number as C52, and it gave an address of self-storage on Airport Road in Rexburg. So with that information, we were able to obtain a search warrant for that storage unit as well.
And did you participate in the search of that storage unit?
Yes, I did.
What did you find there?
There were a few bikes, children's bikes. There were boxes of winter clothing, some ice skates. There wasn't a lot in the storage unit. There was a personalized a family blanket, a big blanket, family photos that were kind of sewn onto the blanket. Those photos had JJ Vallow, Tidy Ryan, and their sibling Kobe Ryan. There were pictures of Lori Vallow. But other than that, there was nothing else really in the storage unit.
When you performed these searches, were you looking for Tidy Ryan?
No.
So to your knowledge, she hadn't been reported missing.
That's correct.
You're not going to reduce that.
Yes.
So what I understand to be the breaking point in this testimony for the lunch hours, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and take our lunch recess at this time. Before we do that, again, I will just advise the jurors, please don't discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else over the break. In addition, for those in the courtroom, we will be closing the courtroom during lunch break. So things you have in here, I need to go with you.
Okay, so first witness, Detective Ray Hermosillo. He was the one that went to perform the wellness check and to find out if JJ was okay. His grandmother had asked him to do that. Getting there, he sees Alex and Chad Daybell unloading a truck outside. He asks if Lori Vallow is home. Chad says no. I don't really know her. I only met her a couple of times. The detective finds that no. First, the detective asks if Lori's home. Alex says no. Do you have her phone number? Alex says no. Then he asks, is JJ home? Alex looks at Chad, worried. Like, what do we say, dude? Like, what do we say? And then the detective asks again. He looks at Chad again, and the detective asks Chad if he knows Lori Vallow. He says, I've only met her a couple of times, although the detective was aware that they were already married. So lots of weird things. Chad says, oh, I didn't want you to like accuse me of anything. Okay, dude. So the detective gets very concerned about JJ. He finds a way to contact Lori, who says JJ is with a family friend, Melanie Gibbs. Now, we all know that's not true because Melanie's going to testify that that's not true. But she did initially lie to the police and say it was true. So this is very confusing, and the police was like, probably just going crazy because usually people don't really want to lie to the police because you don't want to get in trouble. But these people are like complete liars and manipulators. So going back to the psychopathy thing here, oh, we don't have it on because my computer crashed. Okay. So that was, okay, here you go. I found it. So what can we say right now that matches, what matches psychopathy here so far? I mean, from this testimony, which is, we're going to skip the things that we noticed during the opening statement, but from this testimony, what do we have on the psychopathy? We have dishonesty. Dishonesty, definitely, because they just lie. Like Chad lied to the police, Alex lied to the police, right? So many psychopaths are prone to pathological lying. He just lied because he just lies. They may exaggerate the truth to get their way, inflate their ego, or to get others to think, feel, or do what they want to. Normal people generally feel guilty or at least a little worried about being caught in a lie, especially with a detective asking you. But a psychopath's lack of consciousness makes lying a guilt free activity. In fact, deception is even listed as a symptom of antisocial personality disorder, can show up as a person faking remorse and concern for other people. Lack of accountability, definitely here, because the detective is trying to find out where is JJ, and they're both like not accountable. Now, I think Alex, I don't know if Alex is a psychopath. He was pretty much looking at Chad for like approval or something. I think he did have other issues, but I'm not very familiar with Alex. So we're going to leave that aside for now. But Chad. Lack of accountability. You're married to Lori and you say you barely know her. Psychopaths commit some of the cruelest, most violent, and most heinous acts in society. However, they rarely take responsibility for their actions. Instead, they're more likely to blame others, make excuses, and try to justify their actions, no matter how bad they are. This sign of a psychopath is an indicative of their lack of morals and conscience, meaning they do not have the same sense of right and wrong that most people do. So I'm gonna skip 5 and 6, 7, disregard for rules, norms. Yeah, 8, disregard for rules because the detective is questioning them and Chad is just not telling them the truth. 9, unaffected or unafraid of consequences. It sounds like he was unaffected by it, right? They're asking these questions, and Chad is like, I don't know her. I don't have her number. What? Dude, what? There's a detective asking you these questions. Do you really think they're just going to ask you this and just let it go? Like, no, they're going to want to find the missing child. So, unaffected, they engage in criminal behaviors. Um, Many people who engage in criminal behaviors live in fear of being caught. However, psychopaths don't always possess this same worry. This may be partially explained by the fact that psychopaths are believed to have abnormalities in area of the brain that create normal fear responses and those related to impulse control and good long-term decision making. We did look at a brain of a psychopath versus a brain of a normal person in my previous video that was about the opening statements, and we saw that the amygdala is not formed. I mean, they don't have an amygdala, it doesn't light up, it's not there, or it's small, it shrinks. So the brain of a normal person has the amygdala, which is the area of the frontal cortex that allows us to make decisions, to process emotions, and the psychopaths do not have that little part. It's a physical thing. It's a physical condition that affects their brain, their behaviors, their moods, and everything else that comes with those people. Detached, cold, and callous demeanor. Yes, detached, because we're talking about a little boy I think he's two. I don't. I. How old is JJ? How old was JJ? 6. I'm not sure, but we're talking about a little autistic boy who was adopted by Lori and her previous husband, who seems like a really good guy to adopt an autistic child, selfless act, right? Out of love, because an autistic child is not easy to deal with. I don't have a lot of experience, but a friend of mine does have an autistic child, and it is difficult. It is difficult. They scream, they have behaviors, and Charles and Lori, when they were married, they decided to adopt JJ. So cold, detached, not only detached to the boy and his fate, but detached of reality, because he thinks that just lying to this detective is fine and nothing's gonna come out of it. Let's see what else. Exploitation of others. I guess if we're gonna believe that Chad uh, made or influenced or manipulated Alex into killing these children, that would be an exploitation for personal gain so that he can have the life that he wants with Lori. What else? I mean, where do I stop, Chad? Where do I stop? Are you really a person who is a shell of a human being, who has no amygdala, who has an inability to have compassion or conscience, and you're just a shell? Because to me, you don't look interesting at all. You don't look like you have any charisma. I don't know why anybody would listen to Chad Daybell, but people did. And, he definitely fits into a lot of these characteristics. Lack of conscience, abnormal ways of thinking. And I'm just gonna stop here because I'm getting angry just to think about what he knew and what they did to these children without any regard. Any none of them, like none of them. I can understand one of them being a psychopath and not having the empathy, the compassion, but Lori was a psychopath, Alex is a psychopath. Like, did nobody feel any empathy, any compassion for these children? I don't know. So I'm just gonna stop here. So let me see. Now we're going to go back and see how much longer we have on this witness. I think we still have to. We probably have a long time because we have to finish this and we gotta get the defense attorney to cross. So let's see where we are at.
Will reopen upon the conclusion of the lunch break, and will still be under the rules.
So
Governing order for court of conduct on the returns of everyone.
back here. Nope, not yet. No, not yet.
Mr. Woody can seek additional foundation related to your own objection.
Detective, you testified you were present that day.
That's correct.
And you recognize these images as true and accurate representations of what you saw in that apartment.
That's correct.
And is it a true and accurate representation of the condition you found the apartment in?
Yes, sir.
And as you look through these pictures, is there anything in there that's different than the way you found it?
No.
Your Honor, statements again for the admission.
Objection again, Judge. There's no proper foundation. The officer can't even tell me who took the pictures. He doesn't know what time the pictures were taken. And the condition he's talking about is the condition he saw, not necessarily when the pictures, in the condition when the pictures were taken. So there hasn't been proper foundation here.
All right. I've considered the objection and overruled the objection as it relates to photographs when the officer has personal observation of the location. The one exception that I'll consider a standing objection on is on 7G, which is different, if I can say, than just showing the apartment. I'm not saying it's not admitted, but it's still under advisement, pending any additional objection or foundation. So photographs with the exception of 7G are admitted and even require further issue.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I could publish those to the jury.
Yes.
Second, can you tell me what you observed in State's Exhibit 7A?
That's the front door of apartment 175, front door area.
This is the apartment that you searched when you were Virginia.
Yes.
Second, what did you observe in State's Exhibit 7B?
So as you walk into the front room of the apartment, that's looking towards the dining kitchen room area. There's the child's car suitcase sitting there. Like I testified earlier, it looked like it was lived in. There's still chopsticks on the counter, paper towels, everything looking normal.
What did you observe in State's Exhibit 7C?
That's standing in the kitchen, facing the doorway, so the opposite direction of the glass door. You can see the stairwell going upstairs. There's still pictures on the wall, TV, thing, papers on the counter. Everything looking normal at that point, Joe.
Observing States Exhibit 17.
So when I testified about the crawl space under the stairs and the 72-hour kits, those are a few of the 72-hour kits, along with the Star Wars suitcase that we had located.
When you honor the courthouse pointer,
What's up today? No, we do that. So
can you point to what you're referring to? Describe the 72-hour kit.
So these black bags, these black bags with the 72-hour kits, there's some underneath here that you can't see. There's some here, and that's the Star Wars suitcase that I was referring to earlier.
Would you observe States Exhibit 17?
That's the top of the stairwell, looking down towards the bottom of the stairwell. This part right here goes into the front room, and the front door is right here.
What did you observe in States Exhibit 17?
This is the master bedroom. So when you come up the stairwell, immediately to your left is this entrance here. Like I testified, there was bedding, pillows, everything was normal in the room at that point. This is the bathroom as well.
What did you observe in States Exhibit 7H?
7H is what caused some red flags for us when we were searching the apartment.
Why was that?
Because of all these empty hangers. People go on trips.
Judge, I'm going to object because I'm responsive. There's no question here. It's a narrative.
It's the same. Detective, I asked you why the empty closet was concerning to you.
Because when we made contact with Lori Mallow the day before, she had lived in the apartment. She was in the apartment living. The very next morning, when we served the warrant, this is what we found in the hangers.
Detective, why would empty hangers be concerning to you?
Because it appeared to us that she grabbed her clothes, left everything else, and took off.
Did you observe in States Exhibit 7I?
This was a bedroom. If you walk down the hall towards the west, this is the bedroom on the right-hand side. This is the bedroom we found Alex Cox, some of Alex Cox's belongings in. So it's the bedroom to the right.
And what belongings of his did you find there?
There was a plastic tub with some of his belongings in, some hygiene things that had his name on it.
And what did you observe in States Exhibit 7J?
This is the same bedroom. There's one of the plastic tubs that had some belongings of Alex. There's some prescription pills up here that had Alex's name on them. And then there was some white tie-dye suits that were in the closet area.
What did you observe in States Exhibit 7K?
This is the room to the left. So the previous room was to the right. This is the room to the left. They had twin beds, bedding, everything was normal in that room as well.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that the witness be handed States Exhibit 7G in for the foundation. Very well. That you recognize States Exhibit 7G.
Yes, I do.
What does it report to be?
A rental agreement with the tenant of Lori Ryan.
And you testified earlier about finding the rental agreement. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is this the rental agreement that you were speaking about?
Yes, it is.
And where was that located in the residence?
In the master bedroom on a desk in the corner.
And you saw it there?
That's correct.
Is that a true and accurate representation of the rental agreement you saw?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, move for admission of States Exhibit G, 7G. Any objection?
no, Judge. All right, Exhibit 7G is submitted as well.
Yeah, question.
Yes.
Second, is this the rental agreement we were just speaking of?
Yes, it is.
And you testified earlier about searching storage unit, correct?
Correct.
Was this the rental agreement that led you to that storage unit?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'd ask that the witness be handed what's been marked as States Exhibit 8A through 8Q.
Make it a little bit fast. I think we were at 2 point speed. Oh no, 1.75. All right, let's see. 222.
What did you observe in the states of the 8A?
So I testified earlier about various magazines, weapons, there were knives. This is where we found those items.
I just want to stop real quick to clarify. When you say magazines, what type of magazine are you working?
Magazines that were rifles.
And you justified that you knew these items to picture that.
Right.
And what did you observe in the states of the 8A?
So here are some of the various magazines that we took out of some of the tubs. There's some ammunition. There's a few suppressors that screw on to the end of a gun to muffle the sound. There's a ghillie suit. Different items in the store.
Could you tell me what you observed in the states of the 8B?
So these are items that are located in black plastic bags, which are right here in 22. So we simply took those items out of these plastic bags and laid them on some of the photographs of them.
What did you observe in the states of the 8C?
These are various caliber ammunition in plastic bags that were located in plastic cups.
You say ammunition, those are for bullets, correct?
Correct.
What did you observe in the states of the 8D?
This was one of the rifles that we had located in the garage in part 175. It's got that tape here, but you can't see up top.
Judge, I'm responsive.
Let's do it. Move the picture so you can see the top. What did you observe in the top states of the 8D?
Like I was testifying to, at the top of this rifle, it's threaded for a suppressor to muffle the sound of a gunshot.
What did you observe in the states of the 8E?
This rifle here is the exact same rifle from the previous picture. There's also another rifle that was in the bag, and that's this one here. This photograph was taken at the police department once we got the evidence back.
What did you observe in the states of the 8F?
And this is a rifle in the previous picture that was back here, it's just a close-up of that.
What did you observe in the states of the 8G?
Those are what I call the suppressors. There's a photograph of these two in the garage floor. This is just a close-up of the suppressors.
What did you observe in the states of the 8H?
These are knives that were found amongst the ammunition in the rifles and tubs.
You described the jury what you observed in the states of the 8I.
This is just a handgun that was also located at still in case inside the rifle.
Did you observe in the states of the 8J?
This is a Halloween mask, what we think is a Halloween mask, that was located in a plastic bag in the garage along with duct tape and rope.
You described the jury what you observed in the states of the 8K.
Once we remove the Halloween mask, this is the duct tape and rope.
I'm gonna fast forward all this.
AP.
Those were also
Just they're
found
entering the
books
evidence
written by Chad
for
Dayell,
foundation purposes.
Who her father was.
Joseph Anthony Ryan Jr.
And when it comes with the phone number, would you call those individuals back?
Yes.
Did you ever alert the public that the children were missing?
We did.
Okay,
We held a press conference on November 20th,
there you
2019,
go.
and alerted the public that we had two missing children murdered.
And after that press release came out, did you receive tips after that?
Yes, we did.
And did you follow up on those tips as well?
Yes, we did.
Did any of those tips ever lead you to finding JJ Ballard?
No.
Did any of those tips lead you to finding Ty Ryan?
No.
Detective, regarding Ty Ryan and JJ Ballard, are you aware if a child protection action was filed in Madison County?
Yes, it was.
Were you involved in that?
I was the one who wrote the affidavit.
And what was the purpose of that?
Judge, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what the officer's response is. I was the one who wrote the affidavit. Thank you.
You don't ask a question. I will just let that witness. What was the purpose of that affidavit?
To get Lori to produce her children to Rushmore Police Department or the Department of Health.
And are you aware if there was an order issued in that child protection action?
There was.
What did it order?
They ordered Lori Ballard to produce her children within 5 days of being served at court order.
Detective, were you ever able to locate Chad Daybell in the mail?
Yes, we were.
How did you do that?
A few different ways. Some of the tips that came in gave us location in Hawaii, also through cell phone data.
Judge, can I have some foundation as to the time, date, location?
Can I just get some foundation, Judge? What?
Approximately when did you learn about the location of the Chad Moore?
Beginning of January of 2020.
And you said it earlier, but what kind of text gave you that information?
Eyewitnesses that were calling that said they saw Lori and Chad having a Kauai.
And where is Hawaii?
In Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Did you ever write warrants to aid or apply for warrants to aid you in finding Chad and Lori?
Yes.
What kind of warrants were those?
We wrote warrants for cell phone data, geofence location, a few different warrants through cell phone companies to assist us in finding Chad and Lori or older location.
And did any of the data you received from those help you locate them?
Yes, it did.
So did you ever go to Hawaii as part of your investigation?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do when did you get there?
We went to Hawaii January 24th, 2020.
And once you got there, what was the purpose of going there?
We went there to aid and assist the Hawaii Police Department in serving that order to produce J.J. Tyler to our police department.
And did you see Chad and Lori Daybell in Hawaii?
Yes, we did.
You mentioned assisting the Hawaii Police Department in serving that order. Are you aware of where Daybell was serving that order?
Yes, she was on January 25th, 2018.
While you were in Hawaii, did you do anything else?
We observed the Hawaii Police Department serve 2 search warrants, one on Chad and Lori's condo and the other on the rental vehicle.
Did you perform those searches as well, or just observe the Hawaii Police Department do it?
No, we just observed and let them search.
Do you recall where the company was located in Hawaii?
I don't recall the physical address, but it was Princeville.
And is that a town or city in Hawaii?
Yes.
When you observed the search of the residents they were living in Princeville, after the Hawaii Police Department did their search, were you able to walk through that residence?
Yes, I was.
What did you observe at that residence?
Everything looked normal. It appeared 2 adults were living there. There were beach towels, everything was embarrassed. Food in the fridge, couches, everything we seen was ordered.
Did you see J.J. Dayell there?
No.
Did you see Tyler Ryan there?
No.
Did you see anything that would have indicated to you that a child was living there?
No, I didn't.
Did you observe anything that would have indicated to you that a teenager was living there?
No.
Detective, to your knowledge, did Lori Daybell ever produce her children to the Rexford Police Department for the department to help them out there?
No, she didn't.
You're going to ask that the witness be handed State's Exhibit 6. Detective, do you recognize State's Exhibit 6?
Yes, I did.
What does it report to be?
It's a photograph of Tyler Ryan.
As part of your search, did you look at Tyler Ryan's social media?
Yes, we did.
To your knowledge, was this image obtained from her social media?
It was taken from her Instagram account.
And so as part of your search, did you personally observe her Instagram account?
Yes, I did.
Did you personally observe this image on her Instagram?
Yes, I did.
Is this a true and accurate representation of what you observed on her Instagram?
Yes.
And also, as part of your investigation, did you see other pictures of Tyler Ryan?
Yes, I did.
And is this individual, is that true and accurate representation of Tyler Ryan?
Yes.
Your Honor, the statement of State's Exhibit 6 to be entered that is no objection, Judge.
Very well. Exhibit 6 is an order, and I made no objection, so it's in the record and we'll publish the tuition support.
Second, is this the exhibit we were just speaking of?
Yes, it is.
What was the username on the account that you found that picture?
Tyler A. Ryan.
And this individual is the Tyler Ryan that you can recognize through your search.
That's right.
I want to ask you about the phrase proof of life. Are you familiar with that phrase?
Right.
As a detective, what does that mean to you?
Proof of life is any documentation, any video, photograph, anything we can use to show the last time somebody was saw alive or not.
Pursuant to your investigation, did you find a last known proof of life for Tyler Ryan?
Yes, I did.
How did you locate that?
That was taken from Lori Daybell's iCloud account.
And what? Do you know which iCloud account was taken from?
Lori for style at iCloud.com.
And then what was the form of that proof of life?
It was a photograph of Tyler taken at West Hills.
Your Honor, I'm asked the state or the witness can say exhibit 29A, 29B, and 13. I believe it's the name of the situation.
All right, defense attorney as well.
Judge, that's correct. I'm not your stipulation.
All right, I'll just read those briefly. And then- That was our concern.
And as part of this, did it contain metadata?
Yes, it did.
And does the metadata in this is, well, can you describe the what metadata is?
Sure. Metadata is like a time and date, is a time and date stamp with a photograph that's taken. So it's just data associated with the photograph.
And this photo was accompanied by metadata.
That's correct.
And what date was this photograph taken?
September 8th, 2019 at 2:49 p.m.
And you testified earlier this was in Yellowstone.
Yes,
How do you know that that's Yellowstone?
I've been there.
So you personally recognize that location?
Correct.
Detective, revisiting this idea of proof of life. Throughout your investigation, were you ever able to find photographs dated later than that of Tylee Ryan living?
No,
And can you describe just quickly where you found that photograph?
from the iCloud account associated with Lord
And I believe you already said it, but just for purposes of the record, what was the name of that iCloud?
Lord for Style at iCloud.com.
And how do you know that that account was associated with Lord Bell?
The information attached to it and also the photographs that were attached.
And when you say photographs, what type of photographs led you to believe that that was attached to Lord Bell?
Family photographs, Lori Vallows photographs with her in the photos.
Detective, pursuant to your investigation, are you aware of a last known proof of life for J.J. Bell?
Yes, I am.
Your Honor, asked this, the witness behind states is at 14, which I believe also comes in by way of stipulation. From our record, again, Mr. Wood, it's been stipulated to and more than it is. Is there an objection to the 14 minute?
No, Judge, it was entered by a stipulation price.
14 is admitted.
Detective, what is states exhibit 2?
That is a photograph of JJ sitting on a couch in what appears to be the front room of apartment 175.
And where did you locate this picture?
That was also on Lori for Style, iCloud.com.
And you mentioned you believe you recognize the location. I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Yes, it appears to be the front room sitting on the couch that was found in Lori Bell's apartment 175.
And did this picture have, well, may I publish a picture? Can you just describe to the jury what you observed in states exhibit 2?
That's JJ Vallow sitting on the couch in red pajamas.
And did this picture, was this picture accompanied by metadata?
It was.
Is this the metadata that accompanied that picture?
Yes.
What was the date of that picture?
September 22nd, 2019.
Do you know what time of day it was taken?
11:46 a.m.
And just to clarify, what iCloud account was that picture taken from?
Also Lori for Style, iCloud.com.
So detective, you testified earlier that, an order was served on Lord Bell to produce her children.
Correct.
And I believe you already testified that she did not produce her children.
Correct.
What was the next step in your investigation after that?
Our next step in that investigation was to reach out to anybody that would possibly know where JJ was.
Who would you reach out to?
We reached out to family, the FBI, other agencies, anybody that would take our calls, tips that were coming in.
Detective, while you were doing this investigation, were you aware of any investigation in Fremont County regarding Chad Daybell?
Yes,
And what did you know? Were you a part of that investigation?
I was a part of it, but my focus was mainly JJ and Tyler.
And what was the investigation in Fremont County regarding?
A suspicious death involving the defendant Daybell's wife.
And as part of your investigation, did you know when she had died?
Yes,
When was that?
October 19th of 2019.
You testified that your primary focus was locating Tylee and JJ, correct?
That's right.
Your Honor, you just have a very brief second.
Yes.
Interesting facts there about the brain, the psychopath, and Might be, reasons why we can understand, or it might be just a way for us to not understand, but just have some information about people that are able to commit these types of crime. For us, it's impossible, right? Looks like the judge is going on a break. Okay, now we see the witness. Usually we don't see the witness, we just see the three little boxes. Wait,
Because it's
what
satellite photo.
what happened? Did they go
Detective, as part of
away
your
forever?
investigation, did you ever help execute a search warrant on the Daybell, on Chad Daybell's residence?
I did, I executed a couple of ones,
Okay. When was the first one?
January 3rd of 2020.
And Chad Daybell's residence, what county is that located?
Madison County,
Is what, so what's his address?
202 North, 1900 East.
And is that, in what city is it listed as?
It's listed as Rexburg. It's actually Fremont County. It's listed correct.
Okay, so just to be clear, did you just misspeak when you said it was in that
I
city?
did. I mean, say it correct.
And it's what county?
Fremont County.
All right, thank you. And you testified you did a search there on January 3rd.
Correct.
Was that search in aid of another investigative agency?
It was
Which agency was that?
Fremont County Sheriff's Office.
And do you recall what the purpose of that search was for?
I don't recall what the probable cause or the reason for the search was at that time.
So you didn't write the affidavit.
So,
Did you have any other occasion where you served a search warrant on Chad Daybell's residence?
yes, June 9th, 2020.
When you served that warrant on June 9th, 2020, what time did you arrive at Chad Daybell's residence?
Roughly about 7 in the morning.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that the witness be handed State's Exhibit 10A. Detective, are you familiar with State's Exhibit 10A?
Yes, I am.
What does it purport to be?
It's a aerial image taken from Google Earth of the defendant Daybell's property.
So, do you know who prepared that image?
I did.
But you didn't take the picture
No.
because it's a satellite photo, correct?
Correct.
Have you been, I believe you testified you have been to Chad Daybell's residence.
Yes.
Have you walked around the grounds of Chad Daybell's residence?
Yes.
And have you been inside his home?
I have.
Are you familiar with the landmarks of that residence in the yard?
Yes, I am.
And are you familiar with, you're familiar with the general layout of the yard and what's located in it?
That's correct.
And is this image an accurate representation of Chad Daybell's residence?
Yes.
Your Honor, for demonstrative purposes only, the state moves to Exhibit 10A, an objection.
Objection. I want to hear any objection.
Right.
Not sir, approximately how much property are we talking about?
I couldn't tell you the amount of property.
And the prosecuting attorney mentioned the yard. Now, I believe the yard usually means where there's grass. So you're familiar with what's on the grass, is that right?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, and I'll represent to you that there's about 4.5 acres out there. Does that sound close to me?
Okay.
And I'll represent to you that there's an area that's known as the yard, it's a lawn area, and you can go with a lawnmower. Are you following me?
Your Honor, this is testimony.
Judge, I'm trying to, he says that he's familiar with the yard.
Well, I understand. I think we're going into cross-examination now, which will be permitted. The question is on an issue of foundation or other objection, whether or not the exhibit is admitted. So, Mr. Pryor, what would be the foundational objection?
He hasn't testified, Judge, that he's familiar with pasture, 3.5, 4 acres of property that go beyond the yard.
All right, response, Mr. Wood.
I think the question is adequate.
All right, based on foundation and with the testimony of the witness about his knowledge of his property, court will overrule the foundation objection, allow the exhibit 10A to be admitted, and you can go into those issues by cross, Mr. Pryor. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'll publish that shortly. Detective, so you testified that you executed a search warrant on June 9th, 2020.
Correct.
What time of the day did you arrive at Chad Daybell's residence?
Roughly 7 in the morning.
And was it only the Rexburg police or were there other agencies involved?
At that time, there was Fremont County and Rexburg City Police that went to his house at 7.
And did any other agencies help you that day on that search?
They did.
Who were they?
The FBI the FBI ERT team, which is the evidence recovery team, the Attorney General's office, Fremont County. I believe that's it.
And you testified you got there about 7 o'clock.
Yes.
So when you first arrived, who was this?
So I do apologize. Can I have a quick sidebar with counsel? I'd like to discuss this exhibit briefly.
Lieutenant on ball with Rexford Police. Detective Stubbs is also with Rexford Police. Detective Kaifman and Mattingly are both with Fremont County Sheriff's Office.
And just for clarity of the record, is Detective Ball still with the rest of the police?
No.
Okay, and what organization is he with now?
Madison County Sheriff's Office.
And Detective Kaifman, is he still with Fremont County?
No, he's also with Madison County Sheriff's Office.
All right, that's just for clarity. Thank you. So when you got there, what did you do?
Initially, we knocked on the front door. We made contact with Mark Daybell, who's the defendant Daybell's son. He answered the door. He was eating a bowl of cereal. It was early in the morning. We informed Mark of why we were there and that we needed to speak with his dad. He said his dad was still asleep, and we showed him a copy of the warrant. And he proceeded to let us in and show us where his father was.
And did you make contact with Mr. Daybell that morning?
We did. He showed us that he was sleeping in bedroom above a loft, above the garage. So we walked up the stairs, just a few of us. Detective Kaifman and Maddie stayed back. We informed Chad that we were there and needed to speak with him. He was still asleep. He asked if he could get some clothes on. We allowed him to do that and came downstairs.
And did you provide a copy of the warrant to Mr. Daybell?
We did.
And what happened next?
Mr. Daybell asked to speak with his attorney. We were standing in the kitchen area. He had a seat in the kitchen. And his attorney at the time was Mark Means. So we allowed him to speak with his attorney. At that time, Mr. Means wanted to speak with one of the investigators.
Judge, I'm going to object at this point.
That's fine, Your Honor. We'll stop there. After Mr. Daybell spoke with his attorney, what was the next step in your portion of the investigation?
I allowed Mr. Daybell to sit in the front room. He sat on his recliner closest to the door. His children sat on the couch in the same room. I gave Mr. Daybell a copy of the warrant, and he read through the search warrant while sitting in his recliner. He asked if he needed to leave the residence while we conducted business. We informed Mr. Daybell he didn't need to leave the residence, but if he chose to stay, he would be accompanied by an officer just for safety purposes.
After you had that conversation, what did you do?
Mr. Daybell asked if he could make a phone call, and at that point, he was allowed to go outside and make a phone call.
And where did you go?
I went outside with him.
And what did you do after that?
Mr. Daybell wanted to sit in the vehicle that was parked back in on the west side of the house. There's a west driveway. So I allowed him to sit inside the vehicle, move it rolled up, and make a phone call. I stood in the grass area close to the vehicle.
At this time, Your Honor, I'm going to ask to publish State's Exhibit 10A.
You may.
Second, do you have that, Hunter?
Yes, I do.
Can you point out where the front door of Mr. Daybell's residence is? In that image, or where it was located?
There's two doors. I don't know which one Mr. Daybell used as a front door. I can tell you there's a door right here and a door on the back side. So Mr. Daybell was roughly, that's not the vehicle he was in, but it's roughly parked in the same area. And I was standing here in the grassy area.
Earlier, there was some talk about the yard or the grassy area. Can you just outline for the jury where, I'm going to call it the grass area of the yard, is located on that image?
The grass area is right through here.
And is that a driveway behind the house as well?
Yes, there's a driveway here.
And to the just east of that, what is that? Is that grass as well?
There was grass here. There's a little shop area. There's a shed here. And this is, I guess you'd call it pasture area.
Did you observe any livestock there?
No.
Detective, you testified. If you can show again where Mr. Daybell was and where you were in relation to him when he went outside and phone call.
So Mr. Daybell was sitting in a vehicle fairly close to this location. He was sitting in the driver's seat. He was back in. I was standing here just observing Mr. Daybell make a phone call.
And did you observe his behavior while he was making that phone call?
I did.
What was the nature of the behavior? What was he doing?
Initially, he was just on the phone, and I was watching him. But as the call progressed, he had the phone in his right hand and was intently looking over his right shoulder. And so I found it odd. I wanted to see what he was looking at. So I maneuvered myself to see what he was so intently looking at.
And when you did that, did you attempt to orient yourself so that you would be looking in the same direction you perceived him looking at?
That's correct.
What did you see when you did that?
So when the vehicle backed up here, he was looking over his right shoulder in this direction. I stood over here, kind of in front towards the roadway to see exactly what he was looking at. And when I looked that way, I saw this area, this pond area.
Now, let's look at that pond real quick. If you can just kind of run the pointer around it so that you're sure where it is. Right here. And
There's a tree right here,
thank you.
and then a pond.
And when, at the time, you noticed Mr. Daybell looking over there, was there any activity going on over there?
There was. So like I testified, we got there about 7 o'clock. When we made contact with Mr. Daybell, and the scene was secure, we radioed for the other units that were staged about a mile and a half down the road that they can come start marking things off in the search warrant. So as time passed, Mr. Daybell was reading the warrant on his recliner. While he was doing that, there were ERT members and other officers that started marking off different sections in the backyard that we wanted to search.
Now, Detective, just for clarity of the record for the jury, I believe you defined ERT earlier, but can you tell the jury again what ERT is?
Evidence recovery team
And who are they associated with?
with the FBI.
Now, Detective, were you the lead of executing the search warrant that day?
I wasn't in charge of the search warrant.
So, and just for clarity again, what did you see when you looked in the direction you thought Mr. Daybell was going to happen? Or I guess what activity did you see?
There were some ERT members marking off a section under this tree right next to on the east side of the pond area. So right in this general location.
What did you do next in your part of the search that day?
I was tasked with going into the backyard and sifting through what we determined was a fire pit.
Can you show the jury on that map or on that picture where the fire pit is located? And you said,
I apologize, but for the record, would you have the witness please reference where that pointer just went somehow, so there's a full representation of record?
yes, Detective, if you can point there again and describe what it is you're pointing at, where it is you're pointing.
The fire pit area, which there's like a little tree here. It's just to the north of the tree.
Yes. Is that adequate, Your Honor?
Yes.
So you said you went over to the fire pit. Exactly what did you do?
So a few of us were tasked with getting dirt and anything that was in the fire pit and putting it through a sifter. So that's originally what I was tasked to do by the team leader of the ERT team.
About approximately what time when you did that?
I'd say roughly probably 9 in the morning, that one.
Who was the team leader of the ERT team?
Steve Daniels.
And how long did you sit in the fire pit?
I would say probably 35, 45 minutes.
And so when you sifted, what kind of tool did you use to do that?
It was a wooden sifter. We would scoop shovels full and put it in the sifter, have wooden handles you to shake back and forth. And any larger debris would stay on the top of the wire screen.
And did you find anything of interest while you were sifting through the fire pit area?
Not at that time, no.
Did you move to another area of the search?
I did.
When approximately did you do that?
You asked for a time?
Approximately, yes.
Probably 10-ish minutes.
And why did you?
There were ERT members and some other members of law enforcement that had marked off a place under this tree next to the pond. They had called and wanted some other people over there to help with that area, so I left the fire pit area and responded to this section right here next to the tree and concrete.
And what did you observe when you got over there?
I observed ERT marking off, they had already marked off probably a 6x6 section. The best way I can describe it is there was taller shrubs in the middle of the 6x6 section. It looked like there was just a little bit of grass, probably the length of sod, and some dirt protruding through the grass, but there were no taller shrubs on the outside of the section.
What happened next?
The ERT team began excavating that site. They removed the top layer of soil, took off the shrub and the top level of dirt.
And what did you see under that?
At that point, you could see what appeared to be 3 large white rocks. And as soon as they did that, we could start to smell the odor that, in my training experience as a decomposing body.
Let's talk about that. Have you, on other occasions through your work, smelled the decomposing body?
Unfortunately, yes, I have.
And is there a distinctive smell to you that you associate with that?
There is.
And it's your testimony that as that first layer of ground was lifted off, you began to smell that.
That's correct.
What did you observe next?
After they slowly and methodically dug around the white rocks, they were removed. ERT took pictures and measurements. They continued to dig down. Right below the layer of rocks were 2 pieces of thin wood paneling. Just right below the rocks.
Were you still able to smell that smell you described?
Yes, as they dug down, it got stronger.
Were those boards removed?
They were.
What did you observe after that?
So after the boards were removed, you could see the discoloration of dirt. So you had dry dirt. And then from underneath the boards was like a wet, moist type dirt. So it was pretty obvious there, the distinction between the soil.
Then what happened?
They continued to brush away the wet soil. And at that point, you could start to see the black round object start to protrude through the dirt.
And describe that object as about what size was it?
Initially, it just looked like a littler black round object. They dug down further carefully and it appeared to take shape of the crown of a human head.
What did you do after that, or what did you observe once that was uncovered?
So once the black round object was uncovered, at that point, the ERT team leader, Steve Daniels, got a small, sharp instrument and made a slit in the black plastic. He kind of opened that up just a little bit, not to damage or manipulate any of the evidence. But underneath the black plastic was another white layer of plastic. So he used that same instrument and got a slit down the white plastic and kind of opened it up. And at that point, it looked to be brown human hair.
After that was discovered, what happened next?
As soon as that was discovered, we received information on the radio that the defendant Daybell was leaving his daughter's residence, which was catty corner to his residence, at a high rate of speed. At that point, Mr. Daybell was pulled over and subsequently placed in custody.
Did you go back to the site where what appeared to be a human head was located?
I did. When I got back to what we ended up calling burial site, they continued to excavate around that black plastic. And after they excavated and took the dirt off the plastic, it revealed what appeared to be a small body wrapped in black plastic with duct tape around it.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have time.
Yes.
It's okay, let's stop the day.
All right, we are going to try to adhere to this court schedule, so it is 3:30.
Awful.
This time then, I am going to conclude trial for the day. I've got one additional issue I'll take up outside the presence of the jurors. However, the jurors will be excused here momentarily.
Oh my God, this
as
is
you-
like the worst part because they have to describe what the evidence of the crime is. They have to show that there was a death, right? They can't just say there was a death. They have to actually show there was a death. And unfortunately, this poor man, this detective, was part of that, finding those awful remains of the poor babies, the poor children. Absolutely very difficult part of the testimony for all of us to listen to. Very sad, very sad. And let's see if we see anything here with Chad's face. I mean, he still looks like a banana to me. He doesn't have any expression. He just sucks. So let's see what the judge is going to say before we leave for the day as well. And we're going to come back here tomorrow.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. As I will try to remember to tell you each and every day or when we leave breaks, longer breaks, please do not discuss this case amongst yourselves or anyone else. Please don't do anything to investigate this case. If you see any media coverage of the case,
Yeah,
please
yeah,
avoid
yeah,
that so
we
you can
know.
be impartial. And with that in mind, that will conclude our first day of evidence. So we'll allow the jurors to speak.
All rise, please.
All rise. All rise.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Okay, he's gonna let us know, I guess. What is it?
The judge, if you want to go ahead and step down off the stand, we're going to just argue this motion. Counsel, this isn't necessarily a motion, it's just what I want to get on the record in terms of stipulated evidence the parties have agreed to. I'll note that back on February 27th, the court received a pleading stipulation on introduction of specific evidence. The list contains 74 separate items the parties have determined will be admitted at trial by stipulation. And let me just first begin there and inquire from the state, is this still an accurate representation of evidence that's going to be proffered and admitted by stipulation to your understanding?
To the state's understanding, it is, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Pryor, you did review that before it was filed. You signed as well. Is it still your understanding that those listed items on the
I
pleading are
do.
not going to be objected
I
to
did.
if offered by the defense?
And by the state judge, that's correct, yes.
Very well. All right, so counsel, I am going to then indicate on the record that those particular items of evidence are to be admitted by stipulation. The one thing in keeping our record straight is that those are listed out in a 1 through 74 listing, but those do not correspond with the evidence
1 through
markings in the case
74.
numbers. Those are not the exhibit numbers or letters that will be admitted in trial. So I'll keep the list running, but each one of those, of course, needs to be independently marked and admitted with independent.
Okay, Your Honor, we gotta
stickers,
go.
so
We
can
gotta
just
go
start
have
that
dinner
straight from the
and
record.
get
And
ready
our clerk
for
will
bed.
Assist with that as they come in, but I assume.
It's like
all those are
10
gonna be
o'clock almost.
pre-marked and admitted. And if you wish to reference them on the pleading throughout trial, you can do that, but we need to make clear that all those exhibits are not, in other words, the pleading does not correspond to the actual exhibit numbers of the trial. Is that the state's understanding?
Blah, blah,
Yes, Your
blah,
Honor.
blah,
And maybe
blah.
if I may ask for some clarification from the court.
Yes.
We do have in here, one of the stipulations covers essentially documents that are in relation. If we have a business record affidavit or a custodian of record affidavit, then we would stipulate that the documents covered, the exhibits covered would be admitted. Does the court want us to introduce those business record affidavits or custodian of record affidavits as their own exhibit?
I'll let defense weigh in, but I think that makes the most sense to me. Separate affidavits should be admitted as separate exhibits, so this can be tracked down later if someone's referencing the record.
Judge, they're stipulated exhibits, so I'll let the prosecutor decide how they want to hit.
Thank you, Your Honor, because I think at the end of the day, the affidavit itself is stipulated to, but really what matters is the
I'm
content
not
and
very
documents covered
fond
by the
of
affidavit or what's
this
actually going to be admitted as
attorney.
evidence. So, but we have those if the court would like those admitted as well to the record.
Yeah, so they'd be separate. The affidavit itself, laying foundation for the other exhibits would be a separate exhibit.
She talks a little too much for me, and I've seen her
Judge, you will note that,
interactions
of my
and
54 exhibits that the state has
we'll
agreed.
we'll get there. We'll get there. I don't want to be
The individual
biased.
exhibits are the same numbers as the stipulation that we put on the record. So in other words, number one on the stipulated list makes mention of some phone cell right
Okay,
information.
they're gonna talk
The actual
exhibits
exhibit itself
and
is the same
really
number that I'm
like
offering. It just happens to be the contents within that phone cell right. So my numbers match up corresponding to the stipulation that the court has exactly. And I did that for ease of convenience for
I don't
everyone.
think they're
Judge.
gonna talk
Okay,
about
and
the
if they
substance
do
of
match,
the
we'll just reference
exhibits.
that. If they don't, this, I guess the point is, the stipulation itself is not any kind of controlling document as to what the exhibits actually will be marked as in the record. So we'll mark each one as it comes in on the record.
How are we going
and
to
make clear that,
label
this
this?
sim-
Is it
simply
gonna
a
be 1,
reference,
2,
basically,
3,
the
or
corresponding to
ABC?
clarify that
Let's
should be admitted
talk for
once
half an
they're
hour
offered
to
after
decide.
evidence is introduced.
Even though we
So,
did a stipulation before the
That will
trial.
conclude then my concerns on stipulated evidence. Is there anything else we need to bring up this afternoon before we break for the day from the state?
Anything?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Sorry, anything further from the defense?
Judge, just briefly, the state and I will meet about that issue that we had at the sidebar, just the last one to discuss the parameters.
Okay, I would suggest, counsel, we'll want to start with further testimony at 8:30. So if parties want to be available at 8 tomorrow morning, we can take up any matters
Just
outside.
do
of your
whatever
presence
sidebar
or move the
tomorrow.
jurors, back in the court tomorrow morning.
Goodbye.
So that'll be our schedule
Mwah.
tomorrow.
Mwah.
Okay, thanks
Bye,
everyone in
everybody.
attendance today for complying with close conduct order. You may excuse and we'll keep it going.
Bye, Your Honor.
All right, please.
Have a good evening. All right. All right. So now it's just me and you. I want to thank you so much for spending some time with me, for your curiosity regarding psychopathy and the psychology of the humans. The human brain is a vast place full of possibilities, and that is why my main purpose on my channel is to provide guided meditations so that we can train our brain and train our neuropaths to be healthy. So whenever there's a trial that is very interesting, I deviate a little bit and I come here to share with you my observations, especially when I believe they do have some psychopathy in them. Chad Daybell, buddy, I don't think you're gonna make it, unfortunately. And I actually don't feel sorry because it sounds like you did it, bro. It sounds like you did it. That was just day one, opening statements, first witness. We're going to pick it up tomorrow with day 2, and we're going to do a marathon with the whole trial, speed it up, and just, stop in the crucial parts. I really want to break down Melanie Gibbs' testimony because she was so irritating with her lack of responses and her I don't knows. And it just felt like she has some type of deal and she's not afraid of anything and she knows more than she's saying. But a lot of things are still going to come up in this trial. Very interesting, very educational. And I am glad that I am here sharing this with you. So have a blessed night, everybody. Thank you so much